What's raging, gamers? Welcome to the Season 5 launch of Rage Quit Video Game Talk Show. How you doing, HenricK the Wreck?
As always, Chris, I am doing great. How about yourself? Season 5, baby.
Man, everything's been great, man. You know, we got together during the spring break. It felt great. And I just got to ask you, because I know you hit the 18 course on the golf range, right? And we know it's Masters Week. Are you feeling like Tiger Woods? Are you going to make the cut?
You know, maybe in another life.
In another life, you actually didn't do too bad. Don't ever shame yourself. It was a blast, man.
Sunburnt though. I forgot sunscreen.
Trust me, bro. Us, me being a white boy, I was looking like a Ritz by the time we ended up finishing up from our time on the golf course. It was always an amazing time to get together. But man, while we're here right now, we're going to throw up this amazing QR code for anybody that hasn't followed or subscribed to my YouTube channel. Got a lot of amazing things cooking up along with yo boy.
Yeah, go and subscribe there too, because you'll see all the videos I post here on that YouTube channel, which is not just things about the show, obviously, but that is a lot of the focus.
That's right. And man, we got a lot of things cooking up for you guys. But before we even begin, we always like to circulate all across the globe, looking at a lot of viral content that is circulating all across the internet. And watch out, world. This kid's keyboard skills are spreading faster than a cat meme on a Monday morning. Looks like we got a new PC gamer taking on the internet by storm.
Dude, what am I missing? I don't play games like this, but maybe that's why I'm not like top fragging all the time. These guys, I'm sure, they're locked in.
I wonder if there's like a sense of carpal tunnel that's been happening, and maybe that's why they needed to adjust their keyboard adjustment.
It's possible, you know, and you play games for like 10 hours a day and you use your mouse.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's likely to happen.
But clearly, you know, when people saw this, we got comments. So the very first one that we have here is, these are the guys I always play against when I get home from a long day of work and just want to relax and unwind on the Xbox. How do you feel? Is these the guys, or these our arch enemies that have been kicking our ass recently?
And maybe it depends on the game. If it's a certain type of game that I'm good at, then I'm the guy that's ruining your day.
Oh, so it's not a skilled issue?
No, exactly. It is a skill issue.
Right. Okay, so we need to kind of adjust our form. Oh, gotcha, HenricK. Bros can taste the pixels. Yes.
Yeah, he's basically making out with his monitor.
Yeah, my eyes hurt, you know, like anybody ever, like when you're playing like first person games after a while, you know, especially when it's like 2 a.m. at night. I don't know how they play like a 5, let alone a 10-hour session of gaming.
Yeah. Wild.
EA Sports, he's in the game. Yes, that's right. He's in the game. And hey, send us your video clips. We would love to see you guys try out this new keyboard tactic. But also, HenricK, in the heat of the battle with victory on the line, every move and every decision counts. The tension builds as you face down your virtual foe. Your skills and reflexes push to the limit. This is the moment gamers live for. And sometimes, I don't know about you, HenricK, you can lose it all in the dumbest moments. And this clip was going viral because we had a moment of sheer panic.
It's exactly like when you have a pen or whatever and you're like trying to hold on to it, but you accidentally are dropping it and you're like, no, hold on. And you actually manage to grab it.
I was going to say, that kind of reminds me of when I'm like, you go outside, the grass gets tall and you're trying to use your weed whacker. And then all of a sudden your forearms like shaking so badly. Like, I felt like that's how that guy was feeling right now in the moment. Because the only time I ever get like that, and I've been very vocal about it, is playing Fall Guys. Okay, Fall Guys kind of gets me kind of twitching out on my fingers on a level. But what game does that remind you guys of? I don't know. Let us know in the comments below. But let's go ahead and see the comments around this video. And the first one says, I could sense 5 mini heart attacks. Lol.
Yep.
Gotta stop the whole game altogether and collect yourself. Is that something that
Yeah.
we're still doing? Don't just run straight forward.
You could even see in that clip there, like once they managed to stay stable, they were just like, oh, I gotta take a breather for a second.
Yep, pretty much. You know, Homer Simpson definitely. Well, at least he can actually go through the pain. I don't know about us, the gamers. I'm glad I got into this game. It's like crack from the 80s. Wait, hold up, Big Ben. Crack from the 80s.
That's some hard stuff you got involved with there.
The last cat was so close to the screen, you would have thought he was sniffing crack from the 80s. But this game give you the high, the adrenaline like crack from the 80s. Who would have known that us video gamers were...
Maybe the guys from the first video have to have an experience like this video.
But let's not go around spreading this stereotype that all of us gamers are becoming like crack babies or something. You know, come on.
True.
Hey, but the next clip that we got here is armed with a playbook and a passion for victory. This little man guided his brother through each play, proving that age is no match for skill and determination in Madden.
Go back formation. Can you hear me? All right, go to gun. Let's go to gun. Go to wing slot offset. Left. Let's go left. Left trigger. All right, do miss. All right. Now hold R2. You gonna have X and triangle on short routes. All right. And then X. Yeah. Now do your tight end attack. So his head can get messed up. Hey, your running back might be open. He might. Okay, yeah, running. That's good. Yeah, see, Big T? You don't know what you're doing. Now do your tight end attack. Yes, sir. Back in the game.
Hey, give this kid a contract. He needs to be on the field coaching himself.
That's what I'm saying, man. This is the kind of things that I love, you know, teamwork. Who would have thought, even with an online match, you know, sometimes we got to share the controllers. But, you know, listen, if you can put a headset on and you can put on the share screen, get immersed inside this interactive experience. I love it so much. Obviously, comments were circulating around this viral clip. First one we got is, yes, sir, we're back in the game. He's definitely a 50-year-old coach from another life. He kind of does.
Definitely. I can agree with that.
You know how we're always doing, like, you know, birth certificates showing up at football fields just to make sure that the guy's not like 21 showing up in a, you know, a Pop Warner football match. Yeah. I'm starting to think we're going to need a birth certificate for this young lad. I think he's living 50 in his new life. Next one we got here is, kid's room is full of trophies for a reason. I'd watch a YouTube channel of just him coaching terrible Madden players. Hey,
yeah, he should do it.
That's not a bad idea. I like that. I definitely want to see a follow-up video with this. And last, love this. Do tight end tackle so his head get messed up. Carefree and living his best life. He laughed like my uncle. Be for real. He gonna be a good coach. So hey, everybody's got a positive mindset. Everybody's learning something new, watching even the younger lads whoop our ass in Madden. But man, we got such a jam-packed show for everybody that's joining us here for season 5 launch of Rage Quit Video Game Talk Show. We also want to remind you guys that we want you, the gamers that are tuning in live, to comment throughout the show. Your voice is just as much as important as myself and HenricK the Wreck. So go along and join the ride. But HenricK, are you ready to rock and roll, my friend?
Oh, you know I am. And it's time to rage, baby.
Yeah, let's get it.
Hey everyone, this is Pause or Repeat. Here we figure out whether a game is really worth your time and money. Today's game is Dragon's Dogma 2. Dragon's Dogma 2 is of course a sequel in the series that hasn't had much love from Capcom in a long while. It has also been at the center of controversy after Capcom put microtransactions in the game. So let's start our analysis by looking at the gameplay. Dragon's Dogma 2's gameplay is largely focused around going on adventures with your party. Your party consists of you, your main pawn, and 2 other hired pawns. With your group of 4, you will go around the open world and complete quests, as well as explore caves and dungeons. You get to choose a vocation for your main character to play as, and you can change to any unlocked vocation as you see fit. The vocations can range from an archer or 2-handed warrior class, to a spear user that employs magic as well, and various others, many of which are typical fantasy classes. And party composition does matter, since it's pretty much guaranteed that even if you stick to the road, you will run into a group of enemies shortly. There are also some even bigger fights that are full-on bosses. There is also no reliable fast travel outside using fairy stones, a consumable limited item, or ox carts, so you'll be roaming the roads quite frequently. All the while, you'll be leveling up and getting better gear as you find or purchase it. But why are we even doing this in the first place? Let's go over the story and find the answers. The story of Dragon's Dogma 2 is one centered around amnesia. Your playable character starts as a slave in a mine, then escapes and is called the Arisen. The Arisen is a person who is destined to challenge the dragon, and along with it comes great power. Confused, you will have to then piece together the story of who you are, as well as fulfill your destiny as the Arisen. But now the question still stands. Pause or repeat?
There's something magical about this game, and it's not just my pawns using magic. It's just the experience of sitting down and immersing yourself in this world. But I'm curious, what are your thoughts on this game, Chris? I know it's been a lot of controversy surrounding it.
Yeah, before we start even going into the controversy, I think it's more important just to kind of lay out what Dragon's Dogma 2 is really all about. And it is if like Skyrim had a baby with a fireworks show, you know, all the spectacle, but with none of the frostbite. If you catch my drift, you could be playing Dragon's Dogma 2 like you're stepping into a fantasy world with the likes of Elden Ring and Tears of the Kingdom had a love child, and the family reunions are full of awkward "who's your dragon daddy" conversations. You know what I mean? Like they're all hodgepodge together. But as you just referenced, gamers, facing microtransactions feel like a pay-to-walk simulator. And with no fast travel, it's like being stuck in traffic on a medieval highway. But how do you feel about this, HenricK? Because, meanwhile, you're probably thinking, the frame rate disaster is just the game's way of saying, enjoy the scenery very, very slowly.
Well, I can't defend the microtransactions because it shouldn't have that in the first place. But at the same time, they're really inconsequential when you are playing the game because, yeah, you can buy a fairy stone for like a couple dollars, but do you really need that? I think the whole point of the game really is to not use fast travel that often. And you do get those stones in the game enough to the point where you wouldn't have to really buy another one unless you want to just speed through the game. At that point, that's a different story. Now, the performance issues, that's something that I'm more concerned about.
See, I was waiting for you to say that because I know everybody's talking about the microtransactions, but this is nothing new with Capcom, right? They introduced this with the Resident Evil 4 remaster.
And no one was complaining about it then because it's the same sort of concept with this one where it's like, yeah, you could earn these things in the game if you put in the time. Just like in Resident Evil 4, you can earn the things that you can buy. Or if you're just good at the game or you have the will to put in the time, you can earn it yourself and spend no money.
Yeah, exactly. But like HenricK, Dragon's Dogma 2 is this year's RPG prom king. It's got the looks, the moves, and the dragons to sweep Game of the Year off its feet. And since we are talking about Capcom right now, is this like their glow-up story leading the Game of the Year parade?
Probably yes, considering that, they had games that have been Game of the Year contenders pretty much every year, I feel like. But this is really one that is taking the spotlight now because there hasn't really been a game yet this year that's come out with something at this scale and with this much hype around it, which is part of why people were so upset when there was a controversy around it because they were excited for it. But
yeah, exactly.
I think at the same time, you can't ignore the fact that this game is not perfect.
Well, when you fall down to 244p, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off right there, but be like, 244 pixels, right? I'm the PC gamer. You guys are always complaining about, the frame rate drops. It's the end of the world. We're gonna crash and let this thing burn, right? CD Projekt Red with Cyberpunk 2077, that had quite the disastrous launch with all like the stuttering and the lag and the drop frame rate.
Mm-hmm.
So why isn't Capcom getting that same animosity? I know like some gamers are, but a lot of people are kind of like letting it slip. Is that because this feels like a brand new open world game that gamers have been asking for quite some time? Considering one of the cooler elements about Dragon's Dogma 2 is it's a single player experience, but it almost has like a multiplayer elements, as you've beautifully laid out in your pause or repeat video, where you can have these pawns join you in your clan, as you could say, and it almost feels like you're in a party, with your friends.
And I think that's maybe part of it, because when you compare this game's launch to Cyberpunk 2077's launch, that game was just completely unplayable at launch. Yeah. Whereas this one, there's a lot of performance issues, especially when you get into the big towns, which is really inexcusable considering the game doesn't seem like it should be taking that much performance hit in an area like that. But the majority of the game is spent outside of the towns in the first place, and the combat is really fun. Plus, the game, you can actually play it, even with those performance drops. It's not like the game is crashing and is completely unplayable when you get to these towns. Whereas in Cyberpunk, you literally couldn't play the game because it was just that buggy. So that's a little bit of the difference there. I do wish kind of that there was an actual way to play with your friends in your party rather than just hiring their pawns. But maybe there'll be a mod that comes out in a bit of time that lets you do that. As for now, it still kind of felt like I was playing with my friends because I was able to hire their pawns and have them on my party. So,
but I guess the real question is, because like, I'm already kind of sensing that this is going to be easily a Game of the Year contender. For myself, this is a repeat. You're going to have a lot of fun gamers, especially someone that loves Skyrim, the likes of those kind of style of games. Because, we're going to be talking about it later, as much as like people were clowning Starfield at one point for being such a lackluster single player game in the year 2023, that was pretty much still a very much dominant form as in RPG genres with the open world format. So this is another great game. If you're into those kind of style of mechanics and gameplay, this should definitely be on your radar. What is it for you, HenricK?
It's a repeat for me as well. I think that the weakest part of the game for sure is the story, because it feels like it takes a little bit of a backseat to the rest of the game. But outside of that, like, the rest of the game is definitely Game of the Year worthy, I would say. And we'll have to see if there's something that really sticks out more than this, because I know there's more other games coming out and even DLC coming out for like
Elden Ring, we just barely got into April.
But
so true.
We'll have to see. I'm sure it's going to be on the lists for Game of the Year contention, though.
That's right. And for you, the gamers, we'd love to hear from you. So is this a pause where you're going to be playing something else, or is this going to be a repeat where, you know what? This is definitely worth the opportunity to make another character and go back into Dragon's Dogma. Well, man, this has been such a great conversation, but we got so much more left here on Rage Quit Video Game Talk Show. So you ready to rock and roll, HenricK the Wreck?
Yep, let's get it.
Let's go. What's good, listeners? Welcome to Patch Notes, where my co-host HenricK the Wreck and I discuss gaming news, industry talk, and so much more. Let's get it. April 2024 is here, and while it's not as bustling as a beehive in a honey factory, there are still a few games swarming onto PC, PS5, and Xbox Series XS that'll steal your attention faster than your dog snatches a treat. In Stellar Blade, join the 7th Airborne Squad member Eve as she returns to Earth to save humanity from the malevolent Natiba, only to discover that the mission and the planet's secrets are more complex than anticipated.
the main character's design has been a big point of contention in
You
the
went there
news for a
first.
while.
I was like the
but
first thing to say.
Maybe let's set that aside for now. And let's
So
just look
Lara
at what we
Croft's
have.
got some competition. So Lara Croft's got some competition with Eve on who's the new sexiest woman out there for
I
video
wouldn't
game
necessarily
characters.
say that, but like,
Okay.
I think that when you look at the gameplay of this, the game looks fun, guys. Let's just focus on that. And the game is just exactly my kind of game. It's like a
I was starting to question where your focus was at for a
style
second.
of game.
I was
And
starting to
love
question where
those
your
style of
focus was.
games. On the character.
Yeah, right. Hey, but you know what? I think I love this kind of like color aesthetic to this game. It's very dark, mysterious. We still don't know a whole lot about the premise and the overall storytelling with this Stellar Blade. So I think that's kind of a plus going into this new game, because going into it, it's going to feel fresh on a level. I'm hoping it's going to resonate with gamers alike myself. But if you're interested in Stellar Blade, it's going to release on April 26th, on PS5. The next game that we got here is Sandland. Embark on an RPG adventure, leading a group of misfits to find the legendary spring and save both humans and demons from a water shortage in this game by Akira Toriyama, creator of Dragon Ball. Man, getting into the video game world. Gotta love it. If you haven't seen a trailer for it, let's go ahead and show you guys a teaser look.
First off, rest in peace, Akira Toriyama.
Yeah.
You were a great legend when you were alive, and your legacy will continue moving forward because you left a great pathway for this game and everything else that has taken inspiration from your work. And I'll have to say, this game does look really awesome. I think I'm going to have to play this one when it comes out.
Yeah, it seems like Gearbox Software is going to have a very tough time competing with this. I know they got a new movie on the horizon, Borderlands, right? But you know, this is kind of giving me that same element, and I'm loving it. I don't know about you. Were you getting a little bit of Borderlands and Zelda vibes?
Yeah, kind of that like cell shaded comic book style, art style, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it seems like the gameplay mechanics seem pretty cool. It seems like you can customize your vehicles throughout the game, kind of giving you a bit of Mad Max to the game. So I think that's really, really cool. And if this is on your radar, Sandland releases April 26th on the PC, PS4, PS5, and Xbox Series XS. And the next game we're going to be talking about that should be in your top 3 games to look out for in April 2024 is Top Spin 2K25. It revives the beloved tennis video game series featuring tennis legends like Roger Federer and Serena Williams on the cover alongside current stars like Carlos Alcaraz and Iga Swiatek. With over 24 playable pros, the Top Spin Academy voiced by John McEnroy, all 4 Grand Slam tournaments, and more, promising an exciting experience for tennis fans and gamers. Let's go ahead and take a look.
I'm not a huge sports fan myself, but I can appreciate a good sports game when it comes out. And this looks like it could be one of those. Regardless, I do know someone who is a tennis fan, and that's my older sister. So maybe I'll introduce her to this one.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people are very excited about, the likes of College Football 25 coming back into the mix. But just to remind the gamers out there, Top Spin hasn't been around since the PlayStation 2 era. It's been 13 years since we've gotten a new installment with Top Spin. I think that's very exciting. But the only headache, unfortunately, with these top 3 games are, HenricK, they're all being released on the same day. So your pocket is going to have a hole in it. So
it was the same thing last month, huh?
Right. You start to wonder why the industry does this, right? Especially when we're going to be breaking down some of the consumer, spending amongst gamers. You would think that they would probably try to strategize this a little bit better so it's not all landing on the same day, okay? But Top Spin 2K25 releases April 26th on PC, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and Xbox Series XS. Hey, let's go on
Chris,
and yes, go ahead.
Here's a question for you. Out of these 3, which is the one that you're most excited for?
Oh, good question. I'd like to say it's a Sandland right now. I think there's something about it that feels refreshing, something new, and then clearly, Stellar Blade's right there. It's been hyped up for about 6 months now, and I probably might wait on the sports games, as much as it's not like a Madden per se, right, where we're recycling the same material every year, just updating the roster. At least with Top Spin 2K25, you're gonna get that refreshing sense because you're gonna see young superstars in this game that weren't even around. They weren't even 18 years old, like Carlos Alcaraz, for example. He was a wee lad when, Top Spin came out on the PlayStation 2 era. So it's just very cool, very, very exciting. How about yourself, HenricK?
I'd actually say probably the same thing, partly because I don't have a PS5, so Stellar Blade can't really be something that I play unless I want to go buy one.
Sucks to
but
suck,
hey,
HenricK.
Stellar Blade? Oh, you had to go there. But hey, Stellar Blade being another PS5 exclusive maybe is a sign for me to get a PS5.
Ooh, see, that's a very... I was not expecting that. Too soon, HenricK, or what? I thought... Don't you realize the PS5's on the second half?
You had a good point there. Maybe I'll wait for the PS5 Pro.
Yeah, you might want to wait for a little bit more releases. I know Star Wars Outlaw is going to be coming pretty soon, but it's not a PS5 exclusive. But you get you never know what might show up. But hey, we got a lot more cooking up here on Patch Notes, so why don't you go ahead and break it down, HenricK? This got a lot of people riled up.
Sure. So more than 4,000 gamers around the world voted for the most iconic video game character in a recent poll conducted by the British Academy Film Awards, ahead of the 20th Games Award this Thursday, April 11th.
Yeah.
In a shocking turn of events, Lara Croft has been voted the most iconic character in video games, beating out the likes of Mario and Agent 47. Apparently, raiding tombs has more appeal than saving princesses or stealthily taking down targets. And you can check out the full list here. We've got some very iconic faces on the list,
Big
I
time.
can definitely see Kratos here. We got Pac-Man. We got Arthur Morgan from Red Dead Redemption. There's a lot on the list that could have been the #1 spot.
But there was clearly people that just felt like this top 20 was not aligned right, or certain characters just didn't deserve to be in this bracket. I mean, I know everybody's hyped up, and we're just coming off the fall off or the come down, excuse me, of March Madness. So this almost feels like an NCAA bracket for all of us gamers, and we're going, no way, we're gonna disrespect the likes of Arthur Morgan, not putting him in a top 10 when everybody wants to see it become a cinematic adaptation. But then you start to see Sackboy, like, what?
Yeah.
Or I get it, but when you think
Little
of
Big Planet
PlayStation,
was cool. It was a cool concept, but I don't know anyone who's like, oh yeah, that's a real iconic character that I remember.
but you think of PlayStation and you go, listen, are we really thinking about Sackboy? We're probably thinking about Spyro or the likes of Crash Bandicoot,
Or
who we see on
Final
screen.
Fantasy characters.
Yes, that's true.
like-
We do got Cloud on as number 16, so that's very, very true. But HenricK, who would win in a popularity contest? when we're talking about the top 3 on this BAFTA list? Would it be a plumber with the knack for jumping, a sharply dressed assassin, or a tomb raider with the talent for raiding tombs?
Well, considering, going through those 3 at least, what is the most iconic character out of those? Definitely has to be Mario, right? Everyone and their grandfather knows who Mario is, whereas you might not know the other 2 if you're not a gamer.
Well, I know
but
some people would... Yeah, let's go into the comments first. No, you know what?
Yeah, sure,
I think it's actually best that we hear from the gamers first, and then you and we will chime in, because this is kind of like extra ammunition to guide us through this conversation, because there's been a lot of people very, very upset with the BAFTA. And so let's go ahead. The very first comment that we got here is, how the F is Lara Croft more iconic than Mario and Pac-Man? We got over 10,000 people that don't understand it, especially when you look at the likes of like Mario and Pac-Man. Mario first being introduced in the early 1980s in a arcade game known as Donkey Kong, was known as the Plumber Man, and then you got Pac-Man, you're thinking retro, but then again, you got Lara Croft. She's been in over 19 titles since she came around in the mid-90s, so that is pretty incredible. But then again, we're talking Lara Croft here. We're talking iconic characters. Is this really what we're going to settle with? Next comment we got here is, I feel like these polls are designed to have us argue so that the post can get more likes and comments. Do you feel that way, HenricK?
That is a good point, because a lot of these places, any publications or associations like this, will do things like that just to farm the hatred from people to get more interaction.
Well, there is fluttering going around that at this event, the Tomb Raider voiceover actor, the original one, is going to be there. So some people feel like, even though 4,000 people were surveyed in this poll, there's a little bit of shakiness going. A bias. Yeah, exactly. Next comment we got here is, a Baldur's Gate 3 character is more iconic than Solid Snake. Who the ever the people taking these polls? I think that's a good point. Like, less than a year.
Baldur's Gate 3 is a great game, but like, Solid Snake lost to a Baldur's Gate 3 character?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Solid Snake got a Fortnite skin before, any Baldur's Gate character. No, I'm just kidding. Like, that's
using that as a way to judge whether a character is popular is a wild take.
That's why. Yeah, right. But it did a proof of point. No, just kidding.
I mean, yeah, you're right.
Lara Croft over Link and Mario is insanity. Yep, we hear ya. Everybody's definitely like wigging out that these Nintendo characters are definitely being, not in the spotlight. Next one is, this is a laughably awful list. Must have been a porn addict who made that list.
Hey, then where's Eve from Stellar Blade if it was a porn addict?
Well, it didn't come out as of yet. So to be fair, HenricK, 2 characters from a game that came last year, no way. And yeah, that's a good point. There was like the likes of Shadowheart, right? From Baldur's Gate 3, we barely had it for like a year. And we're considering that to be the number, or at least in the top 10. It was number 10. So over Arthur Morgan, for example. So I mean, when you see this, HenricK, I mean, are you surprised? I mean, what the heck is going on? Because I know people were definitely, trying to highlight that Lara Croft was the first female lead on a computer game, has her own star on the Walk of Game in San Francisco, and holds the Guinness World Record for being the most successful video game heroine of all time. So with me just spelling out the facts like that, does that still justify that this poll might be correct after all?
Well, my initial thoughts when I saw this poll was, this screams of just the people who were voting probably are not gamers and want to have some sort of bias after I heard that the actor or Lara Croft was going to be at the event. So I don't know if you can really.
So you did see this coming
really.
So you did see this coming faster than Sonic on a speed run. You did kind of see something that's a bit shaky, and you're like, you know what?
I'm gonna
This
have to
ain't
think
right.
about that. Actually, I think that Sonic is a more iconic character than Lara Croft, considering
Ooh.
when Sonic came out, he was the competitor to Mario.
But what do you say about those that would argue as of 2023, 19 Tomb Raider games had been released, first appearing in 1996, including as of this year, Tomb Raider 1 through 3 remastered across multiple platforms, and a highly anticipated Netflix TV show, Tomb Raider: The Legend of Lara Croft, is scheduled to release later this year. So with all that added together, it's not just a video game superstar. It's made itself on the big screen, not once, failed twice, trying to revive itself for a third time.
But,
Like,
Chris, you're forgetting, so has Mario. Mario has had a bad movie, a TV series, and a good movie.
very good point. And we're all sitting on the edge of our seats getting very nervous because today is, Amazon releasing Fallout TV series. So, there's definitely going to be a lot of factors that are going to manipulate how we view the most iconic video game characters. But I guess we should have some fun with this before we leave this topic. Is there a certain video game character, and we'll throw up the list back again just to kind of help revive some of these, iconic characters. Is there any character on here that you're not seeing that you're like, man, this is kind of disrespectful. Like, I don't understand how you just don't give him his roses.
You know what? Donkey Kong's not on there.
Okay.
And I wager to say that Donkey Kong deserves a spot on the list too, alongside Mario.
Okay. I think that's...
He was in the same game, right? Where Mario debuted. So he's just as iconic, I'd say.
Yeah, gosh, I feel like every time I'm thinking about this, just obvious is Mario. Obvious is Mario. And then I agree with a good majority of the comments that we were showcasing. Pac-Man's definitely got to be there. I mean, come on now. We're in the state of California. We literally have a California lottery going around with the scratchers with Mrs. Pac-Man. Like, come on. Like, when it influences like gambling, even for older adults, beyond the screen. Pretty freaking wild. I don't see Lara Croft doing any of that. But man, oh man, we want to hear from you though, gamers. What is the most iconic video game character? But HenricK, you ready to move on to the next topic?
Yeah, let us know what's going on, Chris.
Yeah, so we're going to go into some gaming industry news. So a newly released game industry report by Newzoo reveals that in 2023, although the PC and console market grew by 2.6% to reach $93.5 billion in revenue, overall playtime decreased as gamers favored a smaller list of older games like Fortnite and League of Legends. And we got the chart right here. It's pretty amazing. So what you're looking at, what you're seeing is MAU. That means monthly active users. So we're looking at the top 10 games by average MAU in the year 2023. And to further prove that gamers are primarily focused on older games, just 66 titles dominated 80% of all playtime, with 60% of that time spent on games 6 years old or older. So I'm quite amazed by a lot of this, HenricK. It's amazing to see Fortnite, Roblox, League of Legends, Minecraft, and GTA 5 capturing 27% of the total playtime. What do you make of this?
Well, I'd say part of it definitely is the sunk cost fallacy. If you already spent tons of money and probably thousands of hours in playing a game, why would you go play a new game that's trying to take its place? Because you're going to have to start all over, especially when you look at some of these older titles like League of Legends. That's been out for so long, it feels like, at this time. And if you look at any of League of Legends competitors, you got to learn all those characters all over again. I mean, yeah, there's different characters that are going to be the same archetype as characters that you already know, but you have to learn everything all over again for that sort of game. And it's just not something that feels worth it for a lot of people. when they're
So you're
already
saying
stuck
some
in
people
playing
just
a
don't want to
game.
go through the tutorial process. They're just like, man, I just want to lock into a game that I already know. I just had a 10-hour shift. I just want to play a couple games for a couple hours and hit the hay and then wake up the next day and go make
And
that
also,
dollar
why would you
billio.
go play a game with less people? Well, at least a lot of people see player count as like a measure of success, right?
That's true.
So, I mean, that's what we're looking at here.
We were
right?
viewing that with
So-
Power World at one point. Remember, we saw that it
true.
had that very high rise, and then it drastically dropped, and everybody's kind of scratching their heads going, I thought this was once considered a game of the year, and now it's the next Hogwarts Legacy.
So that's another factor to think of as well. When a competitor to one of these games comes out, it's not going to have the same player count as a game that's already gotten an established fan base. So when you go play that, you're not going to feel like you're necessarily playing with a lot of people in the same way because there's a lot less people playing, which is part of also why people don't want to go and try other things when they already have something established.
That's a good point, HenricK. And also, across consoles, only one dedicated single-player game cracked the top 10, and that was Starfield. I was quite surprised by this. What did you think about all this? Was it because, Baldur's Gate 3 came late to the consoles that maybe that's part of the reason why it was in the top 10?
Yeah. But it is surprising considering that I think that a lot of people maybe think Starfield is a little bit outdated feeling. Like the game formula is Bethesda's game formula that they've been doing all the way since 2011 or prior to that even, actually, and hasn't really changed that much to keep up with the modern audiences. But maybe that's just the take of the vocal minority.
Yeah,
Maybe.
I mean, that's a good point, but it gets worse. Of the 23% of playtime spent in 2023 on new games, defined as 2 years or younger, more than half was spent in big annual sequels like the latest Madden or NBA game. Only 8% of video game playtime was spent on new, non-annual titles like Diablo IV or Baldur's Gate 3. That is insane. I thought we were done with live service games. I thought we didn't like those. Clearly, 60% of the playtime is going towards the likes of those style of gaming. So as we reported last season, there's a reason why studios are completely rechanging the way that they approach making new video games.
Well, maybe it depends on whether or not the live service game actually has done well in providing a live service. I mean, it was even just yesterday that the Suicide Squad game is now rumored to be ending in 2025 because nobody's playing it.
Yeah, I know.
It's just a rumor, but it wouldn't. It's something that's kind of based in reality because nobody's really playing that game.
But
why
as
are they
we
not
start
playing it?
to,
Because no one's having fun with it. Whereas you can actually have fun with a game like Diablo IV, despite its problems.
Yeah, those are all really, really good points. And I know we definitely want to hear from the gamers because when this news broke, man, it was like a bunch of flock of seagulls, man. They all just approached that one potato chip and it was like, you know what? It's mine. Let me go in on them first. Let me get them. Let me get them. So let's go ahead and showcase the first comment that we got here is, because new games suck. You really can't change my mind on that. Do they suck? I mean, when you only have 8% of video game playtime was spent on new non-annual titles just as of last year, I mean, I guess people do think the new games
speak
suck.
for themselves in that sense, if you're looking at it that way.
Or is it because nobody wants to pay $75 for a video game? I don't. That's why I go to cloud gaming, and everybody wants to get on my ass like, cloud gaming ain't gonna go anywhere. Yes, it is. It's definitely changed the momentum. Nobody's buying new games, and we wait for these awesome games to then finally show up on the likes of Xbox Game Pass or the PS Premium and so on and so forth. Next comment we got here is, makes sense. GTA 5, Fortnite, and Minecraft have an insane player base. I mean, yeah, when you got the likes of Rockstar and Epic Games and Roblox. Oh, no, wait. Roblox is not associated. Excuse me. Misspoken. But Minecraft, Steve, Jack Black. I don't know. That probably has nothing to do with it. But, that's a good point. It does have an insane player base.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I was saying earlier, a player base being a sign of success is something that people look at. So when they're going to go choose that game or its competitor with less people, they're going to choose the game with more people playing it.
And gamers, don't tell me that you don't do that. When you go on Amazon and you're trying to purchase that next product, you're not going to tell me don't look through the customer reviews. Don't be kind to my boy HenricK the Wreck. He's on point with that opinion. It's so true.
You
so
know, I just did that recently too. You're like,
everybody does.
Had 2 different products, and I was like, oh, this one has 200 reviews, but this other one only has 40. Let me go with the 200 review one.
Why do I have 10,000 likes with 3.6 stars, and then this one has 25, reviews with 4 stars? I don't know who I should go with. My brain hurts. Anyways, next comment. Stop making worlds so huge. Partly why I stopped Starfield. Like, why do we need so much room?
That's actually a good point. One of my friends, he has gotten real vocal to us and real tired of open world games as a genre defining thing, because a lot of these open world games, they don't keep you engaged in the open world, and it just feels empty as a result of that.
Yeah, we definitely need to start going back to a more linear style approach to storytelling with video games. That's why Nathan Drake is in the top 20, for example, for the BAFTA polls, because we could relate to him. It wasn't an open world experience where we had to go on a bunch of little mini quests just to go and find gold or treasures or lost pirate ships. You've definitely felt immersed. Next comment is, damn, no way Fortnite older than its own fan base. Which is very funny. That's a good point. It's true, and I'm still getting my ass kicked by those little wee lads. Stay off Fortnite. Go play, I don't know. Is there a Bluey game out there for you? Get off Fortnite. You're kicking my ass. Next comment. Me playing Skyrim for 10,000 hours. Yeah, I mean, people still be playing this game. That's like, I feel like a paleontologist when I pull this game out.
Hey, people are still playing Morrowind, and that's even older than Skyrim.
Man, oh my God. That's so insane. And the last comment we got here is, because games are run by companies these days and not dreamers. I wonder why. Almost like profit is over passion.
Very true, very true. A lot of these game companies are shifting their way of making these games to live service, mostly because of profit. They see that that's where the money is to be made, off of microtransactions and battle passes and season passes and all the microtransaction stuff that we've been seeing since, I want to say, even before 2010 has now evolved to this.
But we want to hold on to our money. We got other things in life that we want to spend things on, not just on video games. But why are we stuck in this cycle, HenricK? I mean, live service games are ruling the gaming world, despite us swearing we can't stand them. I mean, what gives? Are we allergic to fresh pixels or something? I really don't understand why we keep paying for battle passes. Or I saw even a funny video on TikTok the other day, and it was with the guy, like the Grandpa Gaming, and he's got a reel out right now where he's like, I don't pay for skins. Who pays for skins? And then 3 days later, he's all over there dancing around because he's got the new dance from the battle pass. So why do we keep caving in? Everybody always wants these new fresh approaches, but then maybe, it's like the joke with console war, right? PlayStation for the longest time, Sony used to be made fun of. All the games you make are just cinematic. And Xbox, we actually focus on giving you that multiplayer experience. So what is it?
Well, it's comfortable to stay in a game that but also all these live service gimmicks like battle passes and skins and emotes, they're designed to be delivered to you and make you feel FOMO when you don't have them. When your friend is dancing in Fortnite and all you have is the default Fortnite dance, which is iconic in its own way.
I don't know if it's so much along those lines, but I would argue it's more of like the countdown effect. You know what I'm saying? You buy a battle pass, and you have like 2 or 3 months to compete it, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh crap, I didn't even realize we only have 2 weeks to go. And then you just randomly jump on in, and you probably don't really care about Fortnite not that much, and you've already had all those V-Bucks carried over, but you're like, man, I'm letting all this fake money go to
Go
waste.
to waste. Yeah.
I need to finish the job, damn it. So yeah, I mean, on a
Finish
level,
the fight.
finish the fight. But I'd also still argue that, $75 is way too much money. There's a reason why there's so much success around Helldivers 2. $40 is very accessible and really should be the new standard moving forward. $50 probably, $60 if
Especially if they are going to charge for a battle pass and skins and all that on top of it, like it shouldn't be $70 in my opinion. It really
okay, I get what
should
you're
be
saying. You're
less.
talking like the single players, like the Suicide Squads, and okay, I get. You're not saying so much like a
expecting
Tekken
to make
8.
money off of all the cosmetics and extra additions that they're charging for anyways on top of the game. So if you charge $40, then you're making that back anyways.
Yeah, that's a good point. So hey, as much as we're allergic to fresh pixels, it seems like some of us are getting very excited. Us iOS device users, and maybe HenricK, you should break this down because people are kind of getting excited on a level. Us Apple users,
for a good reason. Yeah. So after the EU fined Apple $2 billion and expressed dissatisfaction with its compliance with the Digital Markets Act, Apple updated the App Store guidelines, now allowing music streaming apps to redirect users to an external website in the EU and permitting game emulators on its platform for the first time worldwide. Let's see what iPhone users have been missing out on, since Android users have been doing this for like forever.
Okay, we get it. Okay, we're late to the party, but we're finally arrived to this moment. Bring me the Game Boy emulator. Yes, it feels like with the iPhone 4, right? 4. It seemed like that's when like the last time we even got close to having that.
Pretty much, yeah. I do remember having a Game Boy emulator when I was in college, like in the backstage area. And one of my friends who had an iPhone, he did have an emulator. And then an update comes around and he lost it all.
Yeah, I know. And then everybody's trying to do like the Safari web browser, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't with these newer phones. But wow, that's crazy. Nintendo versus Apple incoming. Yeah, for real. I mean, if anybody's like freaking out about emulators, you're not downloading like Halo on your phone. You're not you're not looking for, the likes of Sackboy. You're looking for Banjo Kazooie, That's what you're looking
or Pokemon, something easy to play on a phone.
So freaking true. Next one we got here is, I've been using Eclipse to play Pokemon Emerald and Leaf Green on my 14. You just have to go on Safari and copy it to your home screen. So yeah, see, there are like ways like people with iOS devices have been able to bypass it.
Yeah.
And, hey, listen, is it legal? No. Android has had this for years. So chat, Android had this basically since launch. So sad. Hey, Android users, we had it at one point, and then the thing got grounded for like the longest time. I don't know what happened.
But we never lost it, Chris.
It's like,
it's been here the whole time.
It's Patrick Star. It fell under the rock. It flattened out and doesn't even know the day of light. Emulation is legal, but almost none use it in a legal way. And last, Apple's App Store is allowing companies like Nintendo, Sony, and etc. to use their own proprietary emulators. So, like in Nintendo's case, they can now put all their NSO apps, NES, SNES, Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, Nintendo 64, Genesis, onto all smart devices, and Sony can put all their classic PS1 through PS3 titles, including PSP and the Vita games, using their PS Plus service. So yeah, like
that's
people
a little wishful thinking that the companies would put in that much effort. Just saying.
Okay. I mean, because HenricK, it's like the wild, wild west out there. Game emulation and emulators are totally legal to download and use. But if you start slinging copyrighted ROMs online, you'll be in hot water faster than you could say, yeah, baby. So you definitely got to be careful with anybody that's starting to drop emulators onto the App Store. You, the user, nothing will probably happen to you. It's like pirating a movie,
it won't
right?
happen to the user. It'll be to the people hosting ROMs or doing all the illegal sides of emulation. It happens to
Exactly.
them.
But do you think this is going to get out of control? I know part of this, the reason why emulators started to come around, it's only happening in Europe as of this time. So for us in the United States, we're still in the back seat of the bus, still waiting for what's to come. But, you know, it's going to be... we'll have to see what happens amongst all this. I know, like, musicians, for example, beyond video games are a little bit more excited about this because this opens up the window now for, you know, outlets to be able to use external links to be able to promote content outside of the App Store. And that's been something that's been argued for the longest time. And then, you know, there are been, you know, rumors that, you know, Microsoft wants to bring an Xbox Game Pass to the mobile devices. And I don't see why not. And this is a step forward, but clearly Apple has a very, very hard time with this because they aren't in the charge, maybe as of yet, when it comes to leading the distribution of video games on mobile devices. They like to think that they are the king, but they're not, HenricK. So could the roles reverse at one point? You know, now that, you know, they've opened up the opportunity for more game emulation and emulators to come to the App Store?
Yeah, but I feel like at the same time, considering the market share of Android versus iOS, in the United States, iPhones are more dominant than Android devices. But when you leave the United States and you go to Europe or the rest of the world, the market share of Android versus iOS is greatly skewed towards Android anyways. So the effect of this probably won't be that much, honestly. Unless all of a sudden the people using iPhones in the United States kind of skews the perception of what people think of all this online.
Yeah, right.
But if things haven't really been bad on the Android side and haven't gotten out of whack yet, for them, I don't think it's going to make any difference.
But I guess HenricK is obviously, I'm an Apple user. If the gamer's watching hasn't figured that out by now,
and I'm an Android user.
Exactly right. What is it that I'm missing out on? What is it that I'm not understanding about the excitement amongst emulators? Because clearly, you know, Apple's putting down in the terms and conditions. It's a no-brainer. You know, don't be putting, you know, pirated content up onto, you know, the App Store. So, like, who's really in the mix when it comes to these Android emulators? Because I start to think about, you know, like, when copyright starts to die, you know, like Steamboat Willie, what are we going to be playing? Ping pong or pong, you know, on our emulator? Like, who gives a shit? There's better games on the App Store right now that I'd rather be playing than some of these 70s or 80s style of arcade games. Are there other things out there that...
Yeah, I mean, it makes it very accessible to have an Android, or not even just an Android emulator, just an emulator. I thought you were about to say aneurysm.
I was like, wait, what?
No, it makes it very accessible to play games that you maybe never had a chance to play otherwise. I mean, not really condoning the piracy aspect of things, but I guarantee you that a lot of the people who are playing Pokemon on their Android phones have not. It's not even a guarantee. We know.
We know. The comments know. No one actually uses emulators in a legal way.
Concept of being able to do that is what's exciting for people, because you don't have to have the opportunity to go out and buy these old aging consoles that are needing repairs most likely, and even after they have repairs, they're not really the best of experience when you can easily just load it up on your phone and play it without having to go through that in the first place. And it's expensive to get some of these older hardware consoles, like handhelds or otherwise. Going to like a ma and pa place even, you're spending a lot of money for the console itself and the games, because the used market can really hike up prices on older games and consoles because of the demand of these things.
Yeah, that's a good point. And, you know, consoles are dying. I hate to be the beast of burden. Like, it's definitely going away within the next decade or two. And we're really all going to be embracing cloud gaming through the mobile phones, through the iPads, through our smart TVs, our PCs. And it's going to be an amazing time. Yes, the broadband will get better. I know it will. I have great faith that we're going to have a lot better internet soon to come with the amazing infrastructure that us here in the United States can provide for the American people. So just come on, I got a lot of wishful thinkings, but I do believe. We are patriots after all. But, hey, are you guys excited for emulators? Is Android kind of sad that, this prized possession is now being shared amongst everyone?
No, come join us.
Come
in
join the party.
enlightened side of emulation.
That's right,
my brothers.
That's right. But man, this has been such an incredible time with the season 5 launch of Rage Quit Video Game Talk Show. And since you guys have made it all the way till the end of the show, we want to thank you guys for tuning in every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, because if it wasn't for you gamers, this show would not be possible. And I also want to shout out the QR code one last time. Make sure you hit the notification bell so you never miss a live show.
And if you hit this QR code, you'll go to my YouTube channel where I post clips from the show as well as other content like memes and delving into games that I think are cool and awesome. So go check that out.
And we will see you guys next Wednesday live at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Peace.
See ya.